we've had situations where a team tells us, please tell the CEO to leave. Because we don't feel free when the CEO is here.
Wow. Which company? You can't say.
I can't mention. No. Yeah, but there are situations where you find those groups telling you, they come and tell you, because they somehow, if it's in a situation where they trust an outsider more than their own person, already that's a red flag. Because now they come and tell you, please just tell the CEO to leave, or tell the CEO to do something else. The other situations, even it's like the CEO already knows, and you find the CEO telling you, I need to bounce. You just do the things, do the activity, do the training. I'll be back when you're doing the closing ceremony. So already that shows you there's an issue, because the CEO needs to be the heart and soul of that team.
Hi People Pros, welcome back to our latest episode on the People Champion podcast. I'm your host, Anne Gikonyo, and today we'll be unpacking a powerful conversation in the workplace. Trust isn't a perk, but a strategy. With me today is Charles Muthui, a passionate voice in transforming workplace dynamics through speaking, engagement, and strategy. Outside of work, he's an avid hiker, adventurer, and an avocado lover. Hi Charles, how are you doing?
Hello Anne, how are you?
Welcome back. How do you feel?
Awesome. Thank you. And I'm happy to be here.
Happy to be here. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you for the invitation.
So let's get into how trust shapes performance, culture, and the future of work. So you say trust isn't a perk, it's a strategy. Why do you say that?
Yeah, it's a strategy because it's not even just a buzzword, because the problem is we live in a world where people are treating it like a buzzword, but it's more of a strategy and even a currency. Because picture this, economies can't run without currency, because currency is what drives the economy. So you can imagine in a team setting, the currency is trust, but you cannot transact innovation, collaboration, or even relationship building without the trust. So that's where now the trust comes in as a currency and also as a strategy, because even when you're building your business, you can't do it without a financial strategy. But when you're doing your team, when you're developing your team, you need a trust strategy, because you can't just think that it's automatic.
Trust is a currency.
Trust is a currency.
We'll be quoting you on that. So
It is.
What happens if trust isn't a strategy? What's the cost?
It feels like in fact it's a burden. Not even feels, but it is a burden. Because I like using analogies. Let's picture that you're in a boat, and then the boat is leaking. The good thing is that you're floating, yes, but you won't float for long, because you'll sink very fast. So you imagine now a team or a company that doesn't have that trust. It's a leaking boat, so very soon you'll sink very fast. And so it also derails things to do with innovation. Perhaps I have an idea, but do I trust you enough to share it with you? Maybe I want to share my feedback, but maybe I'm holding it because I'm second guessing myself, because I don't know if I'm trusted, because it's a two-way traffic. I don't know if I'm trusted, and I also don't know if I can trust you. So it also derails that, and overall it also affects performance, collective performance for a team, which now looks into the bottom line for a company. Yes.
Yeah. So how do I, as a team lead, know that this trust is being built, and I can create an environment where my team members can come to me with ideas because they trust me? How do we build that intentionally?
From a leadership perspective?
From a leadership perspective, and also from the other side.
Or from now the other side?
Yeah, from
a
the
team
other
perspective,
side.
and also from a leader?
From both, yeah.
From both. From a leader, it's more of you being a duty bearer, because you're leading a team. So you need to lead by example. Perhaps I can't say that I'll promise that I'll bring you soda at 5 p.m. and then I'll bring you water. Will you trust me on that?
No.
You see, that already brings a trust issue, because I told you that I'll bring you soda, but I've ended up bringing you water. So number one is the leader being an example to the team. That means keeping your promises, having hard conversations, because also having hard conversations builds that trust. If something bad is happening in a company, do I have that safety to communicate with my leader and tell them, look, this is going wrong, without feeling victimized? So that trust needs to come in. From a team perspective, it's also about now that relationship building, because there's the problem of, yes, you're a team, but maybe we are not I mean, I can't say a relationship because at times it can be misspelled. It's more of are we gelling together? So from the leadership, it's about leading by example, living by your word. If you say you'll do this, you'll do it. If somebody comes and shares their feedback, you won't victimize them. You'll take it properly without taking it personally. And also now for the teams, also it's the relationship building aspect. Yes.
So in a setting where this trust has already been broken, how would you advise a leader to fix it?
Number one is depends with now the context, because I know the context can be many.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so maybe let's say perhaps let's give a context of a leader who made a mistake. In most African settings, we have situations where leaders don't admit to their mistakes. That's number one. So the first thing would be if it's the leadership that has made the mistake, it's owning up with that mistake, saying, look here, we did this mistake, we are accountable for this mistake, and we are open to if they have a solution to that, yes, but also they would, to show more trust, they would be like, we are open to solutions even from you as the team members. So please feel free to share whatever you want. So number one is owning up to your mistakes, taking responsibility for that mistake, and also having that open feedback mechanism, whereby if Anne is sharing her feedback, she would be victimized by leader X. She knows that, and you're not being tolerated. That's something else, because at times we may be here, but we are tolerating you. And you know that feeling of being tolerated. You can tell, you can easily tell, because people are intelligent. And so that culture of being vulnerable, it's about being vulnerable from the leadership aspect. If the leader is vulnerable, then the team becomes vulnerable, because it's a mirroring effect. The team mirrors their leader. Yes.
Owning up to their mistakes. That's something I think people in Africa and Kenya mostly, it's like we have this thing called the African parent. You know, when an African parent does something wrong to you, they're not going to tell you sorry. They just come try and like buy you something. But owning up to that mistake, never.
They hardly do that.
That's interesting. So you've mentioned culture. So trust is a culture advantage. So when companies do get trust right, what does that look like?
Good question. And, when they get it right, how can I put this? Let me put an African analogy to this. We all know the African drum.
Yeah.
It's been used traditionally, at times it's even used now. The drum is not just an instrument, it's a unifier. Okay? So it helps unify the dancers. Let's picture we have the drum and we have the dancers. So the drum unifies those dancers. But there's one thing that unifies everybody, and that's the rhythm. So the person who is beating the drum, let's assume that the leader is the person who is beating that drum that you're talking about. They need to know the rhythm, because there's a difference between rhythm and noise. You see, a team won't follow noise, but they'll follow rhythm. People will trust a rhythm rather than noise. For example, if you move to a dance setting, would you dance to noise?
No.
But you'll find yourself dancing to a rhythm, even a rhythm that is in a different language. But as long as that rhythm is flowing, you'll find yourself, because you trust it.
Yeah.
And that's where now the African drum setting comes in. If the drummer has that consistent and predictable rhythm, because now with that, the group of dancers know this is the time we need to dance, this is the time we need to pause, this is the time when you need to put high energy, this is the time when you need to lower their energy, because already they know that rhythm. It's easily predictable, it's guiding them. You see?
Yeah.
Just like a tango dance, if the person you're dancing with does not know the moves, you can't easily trust that person. They'll end up stepping on your feet. At times you end up losing your shoes without knowing. So we look at that trust for a team like a rhythm. The rhythm comes before the noise, because a team will follow the rhythm but not the noise. So from a leadership perspective, it's you building a rhythm, because that rhythm is what brings in the trust.
Building a rhythm.
Yes.
Interesting. We have so many quotes today. So I have to mention HRs. HRs are in a position of leadership, we might say, right?
Yes.
So how do they, and what gets in the way of trust building in a HR position in your employees? Like, what gets in the way of that? What can you say? Yeah.
I need to admit that HR is very policy heavy. So in most organization settings, you find an organization, because even from us, because we do a lot of team buildings and trainings, you will find a company that's so focused on a policy, but they overlook relationship building. You see?
Yeah.
So we'll say, yeah, our policy is on this, our policy is on that. But do people know each other? Do people know each other beyond their job descriptions? Do they trust each other to share their challenges? And you see, the thing that most HRs need to prioritize is relationship building, because that is what gives birth to trust. Because if you're a team that trusts each other, we can face hard times because we trust each other. If I know Anne is our CEO, and you're going through a recession, I know that Anne can lead us properly. She can engage us to create a solution, and we can weather the storm. So I would say for HRs, yes, I know there's policy that you have to look at, you need to implement, you need to develop the policy, but let's not also overlook relationship building when it comes to trust building. Yes.
Relationship building when it comes. Okay, that's very interesting. But I do have to ask, how do you measure that trust building is working in your company or in your leadership position? How do you measure that? Hey, we have trust between us. This is working.
From a group level now.
Yeah.
I'm sure at times we've seen groups which are free in terms of coming up with ideas, taking that risk to implement something without second guessing again. And then there's the issue of a team that is not being micromanaged. At times, you know how bad it feels when someone micromanages you. Every 2 minutes, they're like, okay, Anne, how far are you? Anne, how are you doing it? you feel, okay, doesn't this person really trust me? Because already you've been given the context, you've understood it, and you're trying to work on it based on how you've understood it. But micromanagement, a team which doesn't have that constant micromanagement, at least that's a sign of trust. A team where you find somebody is free enough to suggest an idea or even critique something that's already in existence without fear of victimization. Again, victimization. That's a clear sign of trust within that group.
Okay.
A place where someone can easily be vulnerable and say, look, I don't know what I can do. Please help. Because we live in a world of egos. You don't want to admit that you want help. Yes, that already is trust at play.
Yeah. So as a new leader, I'd like to think of myself one day I'm going to become a leader.
Yes.
What advice would you give me if I'm starting from fresh, starting building a team?
Yes.
How do I, from the get-go, how do I build that trust?
Number one is at least be clear in your communication.
Yeah.
Also give them the why. Why are we here as a team? Because if they don't know the why, they'll be shooting in the dark. Have you ever tried shooting in the dark?
I've never tried shooting, but
it's the worst nightmare ever. You don't even know who your target is. But at least if you say, look, this is why we're here. This is what you're looking at. And then also being vulnerable. You know, leaders tend to shy away from being vulnerable. You want to look like you're a superhero, but you're a human being. And people relate easily to somebody who makes mistakes because they don't need to look at that perfectionism. They're not working towards perfectionism, but they're working towards excellence. And excellence comes with mistakes. So I would say whenever you're building your team as a new leader, number one, just be vulnerable. If you don't know something, just say, I don't know. At times, if it's a challenge that you don't know of a solution, you're like, I'm open to ideas. Please share your ideas. What do you think about this? In fact, that question of what do you think about, it really encourages someone to open up because it's open-ended. Yeah. And then walking through the mud with people as well. If it's a hard time that somebody is going through, at least tell them, try and walk with them through. And at times, having a big team at times might not be that easy to do it. But if you start with a lean team, it's easy. If someone is going through a challenge, try and understand why, rather than rushing to quick judgments. Yeah, and also don't look for perfectionism, because they will try and please you. You know, one mistake that leaders tend to make is they assume that if people like me, I'm trusted. But you see, you can be nice, but you're not reliable. You keep breaking your promises, but you're a nice person. Anne is a very nice person, but she promised me chocolate at 4 p.m.
She brought me
1 week later, it's like she forgot.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, so, see, I have to go back to HR because this elevate HR.
Yes.
HRs do have this stereotype of being the prefect, and people don't trust the prefect. So how does HR and leadership work to ensure that trust is being built?
Good question. Because there's that stereotype. There are already those assumptions that are in play. Number one is At least don't, again, policy, I would say, don't for them not to focus too much on, because at times HRs, yes, I know that at times they're given orders from above, like, this needs to be implemented, but I would say there needs to be empathy, because you're dealing with a group of human beings. There are people who have feelings. There are people who are going through a lot back at home. So at times somebody might be present at the office, but they're not psychologically present. So for HRs, in terms of leadership, they need to build that safety net, psychological safety net. Okay? As apart from now saying that, yeah, we know we have KPIs, we need to meet our KPIs by every quarter, but also how are you doing? At least how far, what challenges are you facing in implementing whatever you're telling you? How can we help you? So that empathy, and also trying to create that safety net for people to share their feedback. Yes.
Yeah, you've done a lot of team building, Cindy.
Yes.
What consequences have you seen in companies where trust isn't a vital core?
Where trust isn't a vital core.
Yeah.
Number one is we've had situations where a team tells us, please tell the CEO to leave. Because we don't feel free when the CEO is here.
Wow. Which company? You can't say.
I can't mention. Yeah, but there are situations where you find those groups telling you, they come and tell you, because they somehow, if it's in a situation where they trust an outsider more than their own person, already that's a red flag. Because now they come and tell you, please just tell the CEO to leave, or tell the CEO to do something else. The other situations, even it's like the CEO already knows, and you find the CEO telling you, I need to bounce. You just do the things, do the activity, do the training. I'll be back when you're doing the closing ceremony. So already that shows you there's an issue, because the CEO needs to be the heart and soul of that team. He or she needs to be on that ground and understand, because we usually do feedback sessions and also reflective sessions, and it's good when the leaders are there so that they hear from people. And the other teams that are okay, they engage their CEOs, they engage their leaders, and they gel so well. And even at times when they're doing competitive activities, if they defeat the team that is for the leadership team, they feel very happy. They have bragging rights even when they go back to the office. So yes, from those sessions that we've done team building, yes, there are elements of trust issues that come out very strongly. At times we find there are also there are silos, because it's different departments. So at times we find small groups of different departments, but how we do it is we tend to mix people up, because you're telling them, look, you're looking at the collective, not just departmental. Yes.
Also, that's how you approach it.
Yes.
Even when there's an issue between the CEO and the team.
Yes. Yeah, at least because we need to look at the collective rather than the case by case.
Does that usually work?
It works, though it's something that needs a lot of time. You can't just easily solve it with one event. So for a company that's open enough towards that, it's a process. So if they agree to work on that process, yes, it works.
So I do have a personal question.
Yes.
How did you feel like this is the career path you want to take? I want to help companies build great teams. What led you to this?
Wow, it's an interesting story. So
we're here for it.
So I went through business school. So I graduated in finance and banking and went straight to business. So I tested internship. That's when I realized employment is not my thing. I realized my calling is in business. So I went straight to business. I started doing business consulting at that time. I was doing business plans, company profiles. It was way back. Perhaps if I say it, you'll know my age, around 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's old.
That's so young. Juicy too.
Juicy too, yeah. It's just a few years back. So yeah, I started with that. Then I met with a group of adventurers, because that time I was still adventuring, but I didn't have people that I would relate with. So I met two gentlemen that we opened an events company with. So at that time, what we used to do is we would create open events. So we'd take guys to Mount Kenya. You take them to the peak, scream. At least that you can scream all that you want, because there's no NEMA, so you can do your best. So we went there, we took guys to Mount Kenya, we take guys to Mamau Caves. As in, we would make guys come and attend events. But our key goal for that was not just taking somebody to a location, but also bringing strangers who can bond together. Because we realized most of the travel packages that people were doing at that time was you just like go to the Mara, come back, but you've not made any connection. But we'd make sure that people have made those connections. And at times people even find love and get married.
Wow, interesting.
So from there now, they really got excited and they told us, you guys are really good. You should consider going into team building. And the best part was that they said, we'll give you our clients because us guys, you're already in corporate. So we'll already give you referrals because we know you. And that was now, because we started it in 2016. Then now in 2017 is when now we decided to venture towards team building and training. And they kept their word. Trust again. They kept their word.
No, kept their trust. Wow.
And so they gave us the referrals, and that's how now we started building. From 2017, now it's been 8 years. And the best part is, seeing somebody leaving that ground smiling. And at times you hear feedback of people, at times people work remotely. They're like, I've never met this person, but today it feels like we've been together for 10 years. They feel like they've known each other for the past 10 years because they've really gelled. And that kind of impact is what leaves us smiling, because at least we've left people with smiles and memories.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're very passionate about it, I can tell.
Yes.
Your eyes are just glowing when you speak about it.
Oh yeah. So we find it as a calling for us.
As African leaders, what can they learn from our culture that can be a positive influence in leadership? And also, what can they stay away from? Yeah.
Okay. Now I would give an example of parenting. Just the way you've said, at times we live in a society where the parent is always right. Whatever you're saying is just an opinion.
Yeah.
At times, most of the times, it's not that it will be followed through. So that already is a con that even as an African leader, because leadership is like parenting. You're dealing with a bunch of grown-ups. Others are stubborn. Others just need to be handheld all the time. Others need spoon feeding.
Yeah.
It's a cocktail of many things. There are those ones who are stellar performers. The others who take advantage of the performance. The others who take credit for nothing they've done. So that's why I'm saying it's more of like parenting. You're parenting a bunch of kids. So the part of being seen and not being heard, we need to show African leaders need to show teams that don't look at your parenting journey or whatever that bringing journey. What you're doing here is a bit different because we want to value you. Whatever you're sharing is, we may not implement it, but at least we've heard you out. And at least we've acknowledged you. That feeling of being acknowledged is really powerful. Because even you in an environment where you're acknowledged, you'll be loyal to that place.
Yeah, positive reinforcement is going to work.
You see? Because that reinforcement is really important. And then also in terms of owning up to mistakes. That superhuman syndrome.
African syndrome.
Yes. I can't make mistakes. Even though I make mistakes, there's a way I hide them, I mask them. But we need to be vulnerable. Even for us, at times our parents never tell us the mistakes they did.
Yeah.
And it's bad. It's really bad because you also want to learn from their mistakes. If they burnt a bet, I'm trying to translate it from Czech. If they had put a bet and it didn't go well, or maybe if they did something bad, it's worth sharing at times because you learn from that. It's somehow like mentorship. So also leaders need to be vulnerable. You don't need to be superhuman. You don't need to be perfect because humans embrace imperfections.
Beautiful. That's amazing.
We need to embrace that imperfection. And we don't need to treat it like a disease. Yes.
Well, I hope we do. I truly hope we do.
Yeah, I hope it won't be a pipe dream.
African leaders are something else when it comes to embracing their mistakes. It's something they don't own up to at all.
Yeah, yes.
That's something you see every day, even on the news. You can just tell.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So that's something they need to learn.
It's a huge culture shift. I don't know if it's a generation thing that will need to come in.
I think so. I genuinely think so.
And even when we speak of generation, in fact, it brings in another point of ageism. And we've heard of it, like an older generation having a stereotype towards a younger generation. I've also gone through it myself. Because at times we do leadership retreats and most of the people that you meet at the board are people who are your father's age. So at times that person or that person who is listening to you at times looks at you and they're like, this is the age of my son. What is this guy trying to tell me? So you see that trust issue, at times it's not good because I may have a solution. Yeah, maybe I'm young, I don't have much experience like you do, but at least I'm exposed. I know some things and with technology nowadays, at least you even get more exposure. And at times for us, we end up having to bring an older person to represent us to go and speak to them.
Wow.
It's part of alignment. Trying to align and speaking their language, yeah. But that's something else that African leaders also need to look at. We need to remove that level of negative stereotyping. Gen Zs are the ones who have suffered the most on this, because you're like, these are guys of KFC, they're always on TikTok, they always do selfies, every time is a dance move. I might look bad and end up being a meme.
Yeah.
And go social and go viral. But these are people who are really creative. They really embrace digital technology very fast. And you see, for a company that you don't want to be a dinosaur, you really need to be agile. Those are the best people you need to engage. Those are the people you need to hear feedback from, because they know what's moving.
Yeah, interesting, because we do have someone here who's trying to give me advice on, because I'm young and I look young, so whenever I'll go into the room, she told me, have audacity. Go in there like you belong, and it's worked. You go there with information,
yes,
and they'll respect you. Whatever you're saying, just have audacity.
True.
Charles, thank you so much for bringing so much clarity and insight into today's conversation. Trust really is a strategy, it's not a path. It was a pleasure hosting you. I hope we'll have you back.
Sure thing, and you're most welcome. Happy to be here again.
Well, my people pros, that's it for today's episode. Follow us for more talk on people, culture, and the future of work. And if you're looking for HR consulting services or payroll solutions, we've got you covered. Follow the link in the description below and our team will reach out. Till next time, bye.